Hello, and welcome back to the Pure Nintendo Podcast. This is your weekly dose of all things Nintendo. My name is Jemma, and joining me this week, I have just the one excellent friend. I have Kirk. Welcome back, Kirk.
Hi. Yeah, boy, we have we'll have to work hard to make sure we get everything taken care of this week without Trev.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we've got a lot to cover. It's been an interesting week. A lot of Switch 2 related news. And, now I was wondering, Kirk, if we can start counting down to the Switch 2 release because it's only 38 days from the launch of this episode, which isn't too far away. Is it seeming close to you at this point? How do you feel?
It would had I been more successful in the second part of today's discussion.
True.
Like
That
I
is,
don't know how many days I'm counting down to as a result.
yeah, it's just this whole year has been so strange so far. With the teaser in January, we counted down to the direct. We had the direct. There's all this controversy, price, pre-ordering. That is the main topic of the show. We're going to talk about the pre-orders because that happened in the US on the 24th, wasn't it? Um,
Yes.
and so I'm in Australia. If you can't tell by my accent, if you're a new listener, I'm in Australia. I didn't have any trouble pre-ordering because they opened on, was it April the 2nd, whenever the direct was? They opened straight away and they're still available. You can still get it. We're a little tiny country. We're not a tiny country. We're a big country with not that many people. So there's a lot of Switches to go around, I guess. So I feel terrible for my North American, friends and colleagues. And I'd love to know what happened from your perspective. How, tell us the story.
Well, I mean, it's just part of the process, right? I mean, I'm not going to be cranky or annoyed about. Well, first of all, the thing that I feel like they did wrong, and when I say wrong, is because I didn't get one.
Mhm.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Um, they opened them at midnight on the 24th Eastern time. That's
Mm.
p.m. on the 23rd Pacific.
What time? 3 a.m. is it? Did you say?
It was midnight
Midnight.
on East Coast.
Yes.
9 p.m. the previous day on on the West Coast.
Oh, right. Okay. Mhm.
So, I'm staying up till midnight, which, yeah, okay, not a big deal. But everybody out in California and Washington and Oregon, they're not even bedtime yet. They just finished dinner and their evening activities, and they just
Yeah.
get to sit down and get their things. So that made it harder to get it because, normally if they do a true midnight launch, which would be midnight Pacific time, then that's 3 a.m. on the East Coast, and a lot of people are sleeping. So those of us that are going to do something like that, it's a little bit easier for us
Mhm.
because there's just less competition. But who was doing it online? Walmart, Target, and Best Buy all said they were going to open up midnight Eastern time on the 24th for
Mhm.
online orders.
Yeah.
So I went to Best Buy because that's where I wanted to get it. And they didn't open, and they didn't open, and they didn't open. I didn't even check Walmart for various reasons. I went to Target though,
Mhm.
and they had it available. I added it to my cart and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to at least try this. They didn't allow you to pick it up at store though. So I hesitated on that because who knows how quickly they're going to ship it to me. And I wanted it on day
Mm.
one. So I
Mhm.
kept waiting for Best Buy to order. Best Buy still like 20 minutes in, they still weren't taking orders. So I was about to check out at Target. Sam, my son, was checking too. And he said, Best Buy just came on. I'm in a line. I
Mm.
said, all right. So I heard, I mean, it was almost immediate. Within 30 seconds after they came on, I went in, I picked the system with Mario Kart World.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it just popped up a little window saying, okay, you're in line. Next, we're going to check, a couple things, your shipping address or whatever. And that just sat there forever and ever and
Mm.
ever. I mean, I'm talking 10, 15 minutes, nothing's going on. So I'm like, I got to get this. So I went back into Target. I added it to, I had it in the cart. I went to check out and it pulled up errors now saying
Mm.
that I can't remember exactly what the error was, but it was something's wrong with your order, check below or something like that. But there was nothing below. So I kept refreshing that and getting it. And finally, I got that in. I got all my credit card information on Target. Meanwhile, Best Buy still chugging away over there, not doing anything.
Mm.
I get it. I go to check out and it pulls up another error. And so I keep
Ah.
refreshing the checkout. And I go, what if I'm checking out here and I'm buying this like 10 times?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a confirmation saying you didn't or your order didn't go in. It just said error.
Right.
Um, So I kept doing that. We're about 20 minutes, almost a half hour into it now. Till
Mhm.
one time I refreshed it and it just removed it from my cart and said we're sold out.
Aw.
So that was Target. So there's nothing over there. Now I'm back on Best Buy.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting. And I open up on my phone. So it wasn't using the same IP address. I go to the Best Buy app and I open it up there. Now keep in mind, I have a Best Buy account. So I'm already logged in. I've already picked my store. It's already got my credit card information.
Mm, mhm.
And it just sat there. And an hour and a half later, I shut it all down and went to bed.
Oh my goodness. That's a long process.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. It never said we're sold out. It kept showing at the store that you could still pre-order. Like, I'd open another browser and just log in anonymously. The pre-order button was still there,
Wow.
but I never got out of that line.
And
Then I
what
woke up
happened?
the
Yeah, sorry, the next day.
yeah. Well, the next day I still had the phone near me. I picked it up and looked at the app, and it said that we're sold out.
Ugh,
So that was
jeez.
that. Now, but we weren't done because GameStop was opening at 11 a.m. for online sales.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
So once again, Sam and I from our different locations were ready to go.
Mhm.
Um, I'm on Best Buy's app, and or not the app, the website. They opened at 11 a.m. around 10:55, 10:56. I'm looking, it still says coming soon, 10:58, 10:59. I get a bad gateway error on a
Oh, no.
refresh. Like, okay, everybody's already hitting this.
Yeah.
Um, so, I just kept refreshing, and eventually, different errors, mostly bad gateways. We're
Mhm.
pulling up the big Cloudflare screen.
Yeah.
Um, and then about no more than 3 or 4 minutes into it, you log in and it says out of stock. So
Wow.
yeah, that was that.
That was GameStop.
Then, yeah,
Yeah.
GameStop doesn't open until noon near me. So um, talking to Justin and Trev online here, they pointed out that some stores the lines aren't that big and they've got like a certain number that they're allowed to sell in store pre-order.
Mhm.
So I drove down to the nearest GameStop, and the line wasn't too big, maybe about 30 people.
Mhm.
Um, but I went to the end of it, and there was a lady there who was handing out, like, I think you had to like prepay or something, or put down a down payment now and pay the rest when you get it.
Mhm.
Um, but they all had these papers, and she was out and said, "No, we've got no more."
Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
So then I went to. By that point, I was done. I mean, I had work to do.
Yeah.
Um, but I had to drive to a different town about a half hour away from my job on Thursday. And on the way, I stopped at a GameStop that I usually go to. In fact, that's the one that I got the pre orders for on the Wii U and the Switch.
Mm, mhm.
So I went in there and I asked any chance. The guy said, no, we got rid of them this morning. But then I asked him, just out of curiosity, how early would I have had to be here today in order to get this Switch? And
Mm.
he said, we sold the first 20 of our allocated ones to people who camped out overnight.
Wow.
And that made me feel good because then I was like, well, I stood no chance. It's not
Yeah.
like I was too slow or I barely missed the opportunity. I'm not
Mm.
spending the night anywhere to
Yeah.
get a gaming system.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't going to do that. And then that was that. But two more chances or two more opportunities for me to bring kind of a happy ending to it.
Mm.
First, and it's still just a crapshoot, but I did register with Nintendo almost right away to be able to buy it through them with their qualifications. So I'm not going up
Mm.
against scalpers with that, as we discussed earlier.
Mhm, mhm.
And the other one is our illustrious leader here at Pure Nintendo managed to get two systems while I had none. And so his second system, provided neither one of them gets canceled, I'll be able to buy from him. So I will get it, but I just don't know how quickly it's going to be, whether it's through Nintendo and they don't ship it to me right away, or if it goes to Justin and Justin then ships it over to me with his other
Yeah.
system. So
Wow.
yeah,
That is quite the tale, honestly.
it,
And I mean, you tried so hard and you tried so many different methods and websites and even physically going there.
yeah.
So you can't say that you didn't give it your best shot.
Yeah, I did what I could. If I, knowing what I know from all the times of pre-ordering here, and with like back when I was writing about Apple equipment, and I was always trying to get the latest systems so I could review cases for the iPhones, the iPads.
Mhm.
I know if you could pull it off, it's better to go do it at the store.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know why I didn't just take the morning off work and drive out at like 8 a.m. and just hang out at the store at GameStop. I guess I
Mm.
was thinking again, all the people camping overnight, I'm going to be at the end of that line. And I don't know how many they're getting. Obviously,
Mm.
online, you're battling the entire country, but
Yeah.
there are a lot more systems allocated to online sales.
Yeah.
So that was my thought, and I guess that was wrong.
Yes. So this is a typical scenario for pre-ordering in the US? Is this what it's like every time?
Depending on the demand, yeah, it can
Wow.
really, especially if it's a system where like they announce it and then there's all kinds of news about it.
Mhm.
Especially the news is it's going to cost more because of tariffs.
Mhm.
So you better get it now because who knows how much it's going to cost in 3 or 4 months.
Mm. True.
So I think just a lot of people were really jumping on this now before anything like that could affect pricing and such.
Yeah.
So I was really frustrated, obviously, that night because one, I was very tired,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
two, I'm doing nothing except refreshing a browser for an hour and a half, and that's not
Yeah.
a good way to have a good time.
No.
But the next morning, I was like, whatever. It's like Trev said, he didn't do a pre-order because there weren't any games he really needed on day one. So he's going to bide his time a little bit. And thinking about it, it's the same with me. There aren't any games on the Switch 2 that I got to play right away. It's not like there's a Fire Emblem game, for example,
Mm.
that is
Mhm.
only Switch 2 compatible. So I can wait. It's more just a wanting to have the latest and greatest,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
b being able to take advantage of the better graphics and some of the games that have kind of been sitting on because they don't play that well on the Switch. And I imagine they're going to be much
Mm.
better on the Switch too. So ultimately, it wasn't that big a deal. And congratulations to everyone who did get their pre-order. I hope you all love it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was everyone was sort of talking about it on Thursday online. I did see lots of messages from various people having problems similar to your story, I think. It was not a unique experience as in I mean, I guess everyone was getting that bad gateway error at some point. It just it's just, I guess, a shame that in 2025 we don't know how to manage online orders a bit better. And, like, Target, for example, that seemed to be the worst one, from what I could see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and boy, and that one's totally my fault because I'm sure that when the moment I got that in my cart right away, if I didn't try to be greedy and make sure that I could go pick it up at midnight, then I would have gotten
Mm,
it through Target. It would have been fine. So
yeah.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
another lesson I've learned and will forget, obviously, before the next system comes out. And I once
Yeah.
again got to be able to pick it up at midnight.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, yes, listeners, let us know if you got your Switch 2 pre-order in. We would love to hear your stories. Hopefully, more people got it than didn't. And the numbers in store seemed quite low from what I was seeing online. Like you said, did you say a number just then before when you
It, well,
during your story?
I didn't. The line at the line at the first GameStop I went to couldn't have had more than 35 people in it.
Mhm.
So the fact that they were already sold out, unless somebody was lying to me and just wanted their friend to be able to get in line and get it behind me,
Yeah.
because that's always a possibility. But I'm pretty sure at the other GameStop, the guy said that they had a total of 65.
Mm.
Um, so probably a better chance there. I don't know how they decide what store is getting how many units. I guess it's probably just the typical sales activity at that particular location.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know what that is. So I'm once again trying to guess, where do I stand the best chance of getting this?
Mm. But why is that number so low? 65 is not many,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. I guess they just don't have enough systems to spread them out,
Yeah.
in larger numbers than that. And
Mm.
one other sad thing about the whole thing is the timing, because next Wednesday, I'll be picking up Sam from college. So the Thursday for that, I could have just sent him to GameStop
Yeah.
again in the morning, or he and I could have gone together and hung out. It would have been more of a family. It would have been quality father son time versus
Yeah.
me just hanging out staring at my phone. Although they would have been like a lot of fun people to talk to, I bet.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Really passionate Nintendo fans in that line would have
Oh,
had some
yeah.
good conversations.
And obviously people, yeah, the fans that are hanging out overnight, like, that's passionate right there.
Yeah, or insane,
Or
one of the
insane.
two.
Yeah, and you have to sort of be, uh, maybe I wanna say younger, not to be to slander against, older people, and I'm putting myself in that category of being older because I'm not young, right? I have kids, but that's the point. It's like younger people have more time and less responsibilities, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get at. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, especially considering the locations. I don't know if the one GameStop I would want to hang out anywhere near the store in the dark. Um,
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, isn't it? You know, I don't know. Depends on if you've got a group of people, that would be a different thing, and especially if you're, I guess, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've never done it myself, especially for a pre-order. I've gone to midnight releases, but that's very different because,
yeah.
yeah, it's all lit up. The store's welcoming you, and there's lots of people there. They're all dressed up. It's a big deal. I don't know about pre-ordering that sort of thing. Like, is the store open until midnight and then they let people in, or is it just like they close and then suddenly they open? I don't know.
For pre-ordering at the GameStop that I went to, again, I can't remember if it was for the Switch or Wii U. They opened pre-orders at midnight on location, so you could
Mhm.
go into the store and pre-order and then go home. It was
Mm,
weird.
yeah.
They didn't do that this time. The store still opened at 11, but people started lining up the night before anyway.
Wow. Like
Um,
11's
and
kinda
then,
late in the morning, right? Don't
yeah,
stores
I was
normally open at
surprised.
9 or 8 or something?
Yeah, had I known that, I might have hopped in the car earlier and gone.
Yeah.
Well, because the store didn't open until noon. And that's when I
Mm,
thought I got time to get there because it wasn't even noon yet. And so I thought I would give it a try. Had I known GameStop didn't open till noon, I might
mm,
have left earlier and could have gotten in that line. So,
yeah. I mean, in a way, I'm glad to hear that this is I'm not glad because it's crazy, but this is not a unique experience, as in this happens at other launches. So it's not because of the Switch 2 or because of anything Nintendo's done by the sounds of it. This is just the way it is. So that's kind of makes me feel a bit better about it. And the other thing, I suppose, if you want to call it a silver lining, at least this means people are wanting the Switch 2. Like, it's
yeah,
better that it's popular than not being popular, I suppose, from our
true.
perspective, from Nintendo's perspective. So,
The
mm,
fear that it raises with me, though, is are we going to end up like with the Wii situation where after the initial run, after the initial release, how slowly are the other systems going to start trickling out and how are we even going to
mm,
know? So if you are not able to get it this time and you want to get it down the road, the Wii was such a complex, like there were websites I remember where you could log in and type in your zip code and it would tell you this store should be getting a couple on this day.
wow.
Because I remember when I got the Wii, a friend, well, actually, the history is repeating itself here. One of my coworkers found out that I was a fan of Zelda and such, but didn't have the Wii, and he wanted to talk to me about it so badly that he said, "I'll get it for you." Um,
Wow.
I mean, obviously, I paid him for it. It's not like it's just a gift. Good
Yeah.
coworker, but not not that good.
He's your Pete.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
He got me the Alamo.
We went He found through this site that there was a store that had two in stock and it was still there. We went to the store and the guy we talked to said no, it's not here anymore, but he pulled up that app and it was still listed as being in stock. So we said, let me talk to your manager.
Mm.
And he talked to the manager and the manager came back later on and said, or talked to the guy. He came back to us at one point and said, oh, we just found it in the back.
Oh.
So I think that guy was holding on to it for someone else. And my wonderful coworker knew enough about this system and how to play it that he thought, we're still going to be able to get this. And we did. And I bought it. And that was my Wii. And he and I had many wonderful conversations about Wind Waker.
Nice. Well, that's a cool story.
Wait, it wasn't
Yeah.
Wind Waker. That was the GameCube. See, now
The
what game was
Wii,
it? Twilight Princess?
yeah,
Something
probably.
like that. It was probably all kind of games. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think right now. It's too early. Yeah, well, I mean, gosh, it seems so crazy to me. I mean, yeah, like I said, I got my pre-order in on the day. I did anecdotally just ask my local EB store how the pre-orders were going, and they said they were going well, but they obviously haven't sold out. But I don't know how many they have, at each EB, for example, which is like, our big chain of gaming
Yep.
shops.
Yep.
But it seems like it's still available online. You can still grab it. So, as I said, Australia is a much smaller country in terms of population. Um, yeah, I don't know. So, I was saying to you guys, I wish I could just get one for you. I don't even know if it would work. It's got different, obviously, electrical connections. So that would be a thing you'd have to change over there, right? We have the
Yep.
different power points. And I don't know, is it region locked? It's not meant to be, is it? Is it?
I think it is. Didn't they say they're doing that with the Switch, or did I read that, or is that just games? Like the system could
Well,
play anything, but the game is themselves. I don't know.
I thought I saw something about that too, because that would be disappointing, I suppose. But that, I guess, it's to stop people like me buying things and sending them to you. So, yeah. Anyway, great to hear the story, and I'm sorry you didn't get it. But the good news is you will get it, right? Whether it's from
Yeah.
Nintendo or from Justin, you will get one. So
Yes.
that's a silver lining.
Unless there's always the possibility a lot of these stores sell them, and then eventually you get the dreaded email saying your order's been canceled for one reason or another.
Mm.
Um, which is why I think a lot of people, if they will try to order it from two different stores just to make sure one of them at least probably gets through. Um,
That's
which is,
crazy.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's insane.
So that's why Justin ordered 2 because there's a high chance that one could be cancelled. So he's like
I
trying to
wouldn't say
guarantee.
it's a high chance. I don't think so.
Mhm.
But it's a nagging feeling in the back of your mind until June 5th that
Yeah.
something's going to go wrong.
Yes. Do you know where Justin got them from? 2 different stores?
Yes, Target and Walmart.
Okay. Yep. Mhm. Cool. Good to know, good to know. Well, let's move on to some other Switch 2 related news. I wanted to talk a little bit about game cards and game key cards and codes in a box, and maybe hopefully pick your brain about the difference between them because I don't fully understand what's going on. And it seems like the talk I'm seeing online is that third party titles for the Switch 2 are mostly game key cards with Cyberpunk 2077. Is that how you say that? 2077? I've never said that out loud before.
Either way, yeah, either way.
Yeah, Cyberpunk is a physical card. Seems like very few third-party titles are. I think what was one of the other ones? No, I can't remember now, sorry, but that one was one that was definitely said to be physical. But the game key cards, these are cards, but they don't do anything except to allow you to download the game. Is that right? Do you
I
know how that works?
think so. No, I don't. I because I had never gone to purchase a game that had this, so I never looked into it. But I do believe that that's what they're going to do with Bravely Default, which
Mhm.
would be my launch day title. Um, but yeah, I don't know if you still need the card. Like you need to put the card in order for the game key to work.
That's
Um,
what I was thinking, yeah. Do you need it every time you play, though? That would be weird, wouldn't it? You
I
wouldn't,
don't know.
surely not.
We need Trev. Keep
Yeah, we
going.
do. It's saying okay, after that initial download so you do need to obviously put it in the Switch to kinda trigger the first download, which makes sense. Then you no longer need an internet connection to play, but the card does need to be inserted into the Switch too, in this case. That seems really weird to me. You
I
need the
think th- I think the benefit to that is you can resell it like you can't with a code. As long
Mhm.
as somebody has the card and they put it in their system, they can download it the first time. I don't know if it's smart enough to look to see if it's been deleted off the previous system.
Mm.
But that could be it, is that the card has to be in the system when you play it. Or you just said it doesn't, though.
The card does, yeah, but does so maybe does it actually download it to the card then, as opposed to the Switch, hardware? That would make more sense because then you could sell it
That
because
would.
it has a game on it, right? As
But
long as
then what's
it's
the point? Why not just put the game on the
I don't
card to
know.
begin with?
I don't know.
They're
This
just taking
is
out one weird step, like, you do this yourself.
yeah, well, they're
We
saying
don't got the time.
it can't all be on the card, I guess, because one of the reasons why it's beneficial is that some games are bigger than what a card can handle, which is 64 gigabytes. So it helps publishers who have a bigger game than that. But yeah, what is the point? Why wouldn't you just download it off the eShop? I suppose, right?
Yeah, you said the only
Yeah.
thing I can think of is that it's somehow transferable, it's sellable to someone else,
Yeah, well,
so they can
that's the
then take the
question.
card and yeah.
Mm, yeah. Very interesting. So that was my question, which we haven't really answered, sorry. But we will look more into that. We'll do some more research. Hopefully, Trove can help us out there as well. I guess, I I suppose the controversy is I'm seeing a lot of people being very angry about it, is what I'm seeing. And I get why, I guess, a code in a box is a bit lazy, and that's been a thing for a while. Apparently, other systems already do code in a box and I think game key cards as well. So I'm not sure why they're angry at Nintendo, but everyone's sort of saying it's a bit of a lazy thing to do. Obviously, it spells the death of physical media, which is not a good thing if you're a
Yeah, I
collector.
bet that's a lot of it too, is that it's just
Mhm.
one more push to we're no longer going to have anything that you can store on your shelf or
Mm,
physically own.
yeah. And I don't like that aspect. I mean, I think physical media is great. I have a lot of Switch games in my collection, and even though I do download some mainline games, like a couple of the Zelda ones I've downloaded in the latest cycle, it's more of a convenience thing for me. But the benefit of the digital game is that I don't need to switch cards out. So that's why I'm like, with the game key card, it seems really annoying that you still have to put the card in to play a digital game. That's seems like the worst of both worlds. I don't know. To
Oh
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I agree
Mm.
completely. The moment I saw that Bravely Default was that, I thought, well, forget it. I'll just buy it digitally. I mean, what's the point? I do
Yeah.
wish that, again, if they're going to push this and try to drive towards a digital world where we don't have physical anymore, then lower the price of the digital product compared to the physical product. And I
Mm.
specifically say lower because I don't want them to just raise physical to make it even
Yes.
less attractive. And that's what they would do.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, if the whole, because okay, it's saving you money by not having to ship it and manufacture the plastic and get the shelf space at the store and all that. I get it, but why are you not passing the savings on to us? You're charging the exact same amount,
Mhm.
and that to me is annoying.
Yeah. Well, that's why I mean, this is a bit of a slightly off topic, but when cinemas started having online ticketing and they were pushing that so hard, and this is, going back 15 years or something, and I'd still buy them at the box office because you didn't have to pay the fee, right? And they still
Yeah,
charge you a fee, and the fee's gone up, and now there's not even a box office. You can buy them at the kiosk thing.
yeah.
I hate that. I just think, why are you pushing this fee onto us when you're saving money by putting it online, right? It's the
No.
same sort of situation.
Yeah, and the fee's absolutely ridiculous because it's cheaper for you to sell it online.
Yeah.
Like in the old days with Ticketmaster, they used to charge you a fee because they had to hire people to answer phones and take the
Mm.
orders, and there was a process to it. But now it's all handled online.
Yeah.
There's no human interaction at all. You're not, I mean, aside from the programming and making sure that the website is running,
Mm.
the fee's just another way to make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's totally unnecessary.
Yes. Yes, I'm not a fan of that.
And you know what I can compare it to also is the music industry. It's like the only place they got it right is with recorded music and
Mm.
possibly movies too. But if I'm buying a digital version of an album, it's
Mhm.
going to be like $10, $12 through the Apple Music store,
Mhm.
as opposed to buying a CD for 16 or an LP, which depending on where you get it is either going to be crazy cheap or ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
But it's so the digital has like a consistent price, and you're paying less because you're just downloading the digital album on your computer or phone or what have you.
Mhm.
So why did they get it right of all people? Like the Recording
Yeah.
Industry Association, who are amongst the most evil of all the major corporate,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know, industries out there. Um, they got that right, and
Mm.
gaming companies have not. They still charge you the same amount for digital versus physical. Uh,
That is such a
and
good point.
pretty soon we're going to get like record key cards where
Yeah.
you're going to order the vinyl LP, but it doesn't actually play on your stereo. You just have to put it on the record player in order to be able to download the digital version onto your phone.
Yeah, there'll be like a QR code on the record or something.
Yeah.
That's oh my gosh. That is such a good point. Yes, they have got that right, and it is surprising because yeah, the music industry has a lot to answer for, but, yeah, why is it so hard to do that, to get it right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
no idea.
It's
Except that
frustrating.
maybe the recording industry was fighting piracy a lot more than gaming initially.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
was it Apple? Were they the first ones with their music store that came out and said, "We're charging 99 cents a song, and that's,
I
if
think
you want your
so.
song on here, that's what you're paying."
Mm.
So maybe Apple was the one who helped us out with that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, could be. So maybe Nintendo needs to help us out with that. Come on, Nintendo.
Yeah, 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 be the one, step up.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Thank you. Well, yeah, that's really good insight. Let us know, listeners, what you think about that whole thing. I think I'm pretty most people, you're either gonna download digital or you're a physical collector, and the digital side of things hasn't been affected, assuming the prices aren't going to go crazy. But yeah, those physical collectors, and like we all have our collection. I wouldn't call myself a collector, but I do have a lot of games, and I do like to have physical if I can. Um, it is a sad thing. It's like having CDs. I still have my CDs, and I don't play them, but I have them. It's like books. We talked about books before. I really like a physical book as opposed to just reading it on my phone. There's
Mhm.
benefits to both, of course. It's like easier to have a bunch of books or a lot of music on your phone. It doesn't take up much physical space, but there's just something nice about having it and holding it and seeing it. And it's like with games, like how we no longer have instruction manuals, you know, or any other.
Yes.
It's just a card. It's like, yeah, I miss that. I miss the days when I'd get a game as a kid and I'd read through the instruction manual. I'd be so excited to try it, and it was such a cool experience. And maybe that's
Yeah.
just nostalgia talking, but yeah,
No, and then you didn't have to deal with, tutorial levels or things
yeah,
constantly popping in. The game just got right to it because
that's
they
true.
expected you read
Yeah.
the manual and you knew what you were doing, and now there's so much hand
Mm.
holding at the beginning of a game that
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Yes. Well, a more fun side of the Switch 2 recently was a very fun. I just used the word fun twice, but it is fun. It's funny and cool. It's a commercial for the Switch 2, and Paul Rudd is starring in it. And this is hilarious to me because I didn't. So this is so let me backtrack. In the 90s, Paul Rudd did a Super Nintendo commercial for Nintendo. I guess he was like a teen or I don't know how old he was. He was maybe 20. He was young. Um, yeah,
looks the same
he
as
look
he does now.
he does look very
But
similar,
yeah, he was
yes.
a younger version.
Yeah, younger version of Paul Rudd did a Super Nintendo commercial in the 90s, and the reason it's funny for me is because I didn't know this existed until recently because it was a US commercial. The irony, I guess, in a way, is I saw the Super Nintendo commercial randomly a few weeks ago before the Switch 2 commercial even dropped. I don't know how, I don't remember where, it was just online somewhere. Someone must have posted it, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so cool. Paul Rudd did a commercial for Super Nintendo back in the 90s." Cut to a few weeks later, and they've got Paul Rudd back to do a Switch 2 commercial, and it's brilliant. I love it. It's so funny. It's like he's dressed in the same kind of clothes, he's got the same hairstyle. It starts off exactly the same where he's, like, walking, and it's kinda misty and dark, but then he's playing then it changes, and it's a bit longer than the Super Nintendo one, and then he's playing Mario Kart World with a few other people, and I don't know how they relate to him. One is an actor, I think, that I know from,
Yes.
yeah. Um,
Joe Latruglia was
yes.
one of them.
Yeah.
He was in Wet Hot American Summer with Paul Rudd.
Right, that's why. Okay. I know him
Yeah.
from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
So my son and I were watching the commercial, and my son recognized him from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm like, "Oh, yeah." That's so cool. And then one's a little girl, Lisa, she's great because they're racing, and I love the line from Paul Rudd. What does he say? Something like, "How are you driving so well? You don't even have a license in real life," kind of
Yeah.
thing, something like that. And the other line I really like, gosh, I should have written it down. He's something like, "Here's something we learnt in the 1900s," or something like that, like,
Yeah.
"Here's a
Yeah.
move we did in the 1900s." Yeah.
And Joe at one point referring to his supplements on why he's still able
Yes.
to race like the kid.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's so good. It's a really good commercial. I love that they've got Paul Rudd back,
Yep.
for this. I think it's some positiveness in this, kind of confusing time that we're in with codes and prices and pre-orders. There's some love and there's some fun there. So yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, I will try to put it in so you'll see it while we're talking. But yeah, just check it out if you're listening on Spotify. Sorry, were you gonna
The
say
thing
something?
that also struck me about that, because I watched the first one too, I don't
Mhm.
even know if I would have recognized. I mean, he does look like Paul Rudd, but it
Yeah.
flashes by so fast.
Mm.
I'd forgotten that in like the 90s, before graphics were good, video game commercials almost entirely focused on people having fun or gathering to play them as opposed to the game itself.
Mm. Mhm.
You s They showed
Yes.
so little action of what was actually being played, that it was just kind of funny to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very true, actually. Yeah, more about the vibe, isn't it? Where
Yes.
yeah, whereas there was
Yeah,
heaps
we're
of Mario
young
Kart.
and cool, and look at us having a
Yeah.
great time with no adults around.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's a really nice thing that they did recently. The next piece of news is about the Switch 2 Pro controller, which apparently is meant to charge twice as fast as the Switch 1 controller. Which, if you had have asked me how long does it take for the Switch 1 to charge, I would have said I don't know. But apparently it's 6 hours, and this one charges at 3 hours. It lasts for approximately 40 hours. Now that is similar to the Pro Controller 1 for the Switch one. So they're on par that way, which I didn't know that either. Did you know it lasted for apparently for 40 hours?
I don't know. I don't, I actually would have thought it was more than that, to tell you the
Mm.
truth.
Mhm. Maybe it depends on whether you've got Rumble and what sort of game you're playing potentially.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah. I know they last for ages. And even when I charge them, I don't think I usually fully charge them. I just top them up and they last for a while, like a good few hours. Normally it's in the middle of a multiplayer game and like Mario Kart or something. And one of them, we've got a charger nearby, so we'll plug in while we're playing. And you play while it's plugged in and then you take it out after half an hour, and it's fine. It's got hours and hours of charge on it again. It's like 3/4 full or something. So I've never had any problems with that. It's good to know that it's faster than the Switch one. Um, I I meant to pre-order one during the week. I've talked on and off about this, whether I was gonna get one. I have 2 Switch 1 Pro controllers that will be compatible with the Switch 2, so I'll definitely be using them. But I'm gonna invest in the Switch 2 Pro controller. I've decided it's gonna happen. I just haven't got around to it yet. But I've been umming and ahhing all week, and I've even put it into a cart with EB Games and gone to pre-order it, but then realized this is not a pay week for me, so next week might be the week that I actually pre-order it. Yes. You said you wanted to get one, but I know pre-orders were funny for you. Were they also doing pre-orders for accessories?
They were.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, depending
Mm.
on the retailer, a lot of them had it bundled. Like towards the
Ah.
end of the run, I started
Mhm.
looking at bundles, thinking, well, maybe no one's paid more for this bundle and it's still available,
Mm.
which wasn't the case. But while you were talking about it just now, I went on to Best Buy real quickly to see if the Switch 2 Pro controller is available, because there was a point where it also had sold out,
Right.
I
Mhm.
believe, but that now is available again for pre-order. So I just added it to my cart and will be ordering one too, because
Nice.
almost all the games I play are going to require it. In fact, that's going to be something annoying for me, because Bravely Default is a game I will play with the Pro controller, but it also utilizes the mouse controls for a new feature that
Ah.
they're adding in the Switch 2 version. So
Mhm.
I'll be curious to see how, if I'm able to skip those, or if I have to grab the other controllers, the Joy-Con, and connect them real quickly and do those levels. That'll be one of the issues that I sure I'm going to face
Yeah.
with the mouse controls.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Bravely Default is a day 1 release, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I guess if you're gonna download it, you don't have to worry about pre-ordering that. They should have
Nope.
unlimited supply of digital versions, right? So, if they
I
sell out
won't
of
have to
those,
worry
yeah.
about the system shutting down and making so I can't get them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know which games I'm gonna get. We might talk about that in a future episode as we get closer to the Switch 2 release, which games we'll get. I know obviously I've got Mario Kart World coming because I ordered that package. But yes, I don't know which other games yet that I'm very excited about quite a few, but I'm not sure they're all day 1 releases, like Hades 2, for example. That's not a day 1 release. And even Hogwarts Legacy is looking pretty good. I never played the original, and I think that's a day 1 release, that one. So I'm considering that one, but yeah, I've got to pick and choose given the price of them. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Mm. But one game that I do want to get when it does come out, and the release date was just revealed during last week, is Star Wars Outlaws, which is set to release on September the 5th for Switch 2. And I am interested in that one. So that will be one I'll look out for as it gets closer to September. You probably are not interested in that one, I'm guessing.
It depends on the game. I mean,
Yeah?
I'm not adverse to the Star Wars universe, but I'm also not the type of person who will buy a game just because it's set in the Star
Mhm.
Wars universe. So I'd have
Yeah,
to
fair
see,
enough.
if they made like a Fire Emblem style game that
Mhm.
just involves Star Wars characters, sure, I'd play that, or any kind of tactical RPG.
Yeah, okay, yep. This looks like a third person, adventure, I suppose. Yeah, I'm interested in this one. I've played a lot of Star Wars recently for reviews actually, but they've been the older games that have been re-released on the Switch. Um, and they've been great, but they're 20 plus years old really, and they haven't been revamped or remastered. It's more or less just a port, which is fine, but I'm looking forward to something new. And the Switch has missed out on a lot of those newer kind of games,
Hmm.
especially from the Star Wars universe. So I'm excited to see this one on the Switch too, and hopefully it's good and fun, and the Switch 2 should be able to handle it quite well. So I'm excited to give that a go. But speaking of
Yeah,
Fire
I'm
Emblem,
look.
oh
I
sorry,
want to say, I was going to ask you about. I can't remember now. All right, let's speak about Fire Emblem.
sorry, did I distract
I
you?
actually asked Star Wars related question and I dropped it.
Oh, I could go on a tangent and say that Star Wars Episode 3 is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, and my son and I went to see it at the cinema yesterday to celebrate, which I thought was really cool because he'd never seen it on the big screen. So that was fun.
That's the one that got really dark, right?
Yeah, yeah, well, that's the one where he turns, to the
Yeah.
dark side. Anakin becomes Darth Vader. So yes, it is a very dark one.
Okay.
But
Yep.
it's
I saw that in the theater when it first came out, but like by then I was I didn't think it was good enough to save my interest in the prequels.
right. Yeah, it has some really good moments. It was funny, and not to divert the conversation too much, but the Minecraft movie is doing the rounds at the moment, and you would have seen or heard about the memes and the audiences going a bit crazy. When I saw that with the kids, the audience was well behaved, but there was lots of applause, which I found quite amusing because these are kids clapping at a movie, which you just don't see very often. Except when you go to a retro screening like this, episode 3, because it's a retro movie and people are excited to see it on the big screen. There were moments where people clapped and applauded just because it was a cool scene that they liked and it happened, and they just felt like clapping. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It's a fun experience. But anyway, back to Fire Emblem. I was excited because during the week there were two drops, Fire Emblem related drops, and it made me think of you, of course, Kara, because you're a huge fan. Firstly, we have Fire Emblem Sacred Stones on the Nintendo Switch Online, and this is a
Hmm.
Game Boy Advance title. And then we had Fire Emblem Engage, the soundtrack, added to Nintendo Music. So my first question, of course, is: Did you? Was this the soundtrack to get you to download Nintendo Music?
No, it wasn't. And I to prepare myself for this question, which I knew I would be asked, I went and on YouTube, somebody had uploaded the soundtrack and you could listen to bits of it. And I
Mhm.
sampled some of it. And because I couldn't remember, aside from the Fire Emblem theme, which
Yeah.
gets a different version each time a new game comes out, there wasn't a lot that was memorable about it. But did they also at one point release another Fire Emblem game on Nintendo Music and we didn't talk about it? It might have been
Uh,
Sacred Stones or something, one of the
oh.
old Game Boy games.
Maybe. Yeah, I think there was an older one. Maybe even at launch, it might have had an older
Okay.
Fire Emblem game from memory.
Because I saw that too and thought, well, that would probably be more, you know, that would do a better job of getting me to download it, but I still didn't do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, fair
And
enough.
I still need a full piece of music instead of just a looping 30-minute cue.
Mhm. I am quickly scanning, and it is Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade.
Okay.
Yes, from the Game Boy
Oh, and that's
Advance.
a game I never played. That one never came out in the US. So
There you
yeah,
go.
that music would all be new to me.
Mm.
Boy, I don't know.
It's got
I'm getting
100
closer.
it's got 100 tracks apparently. It's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah. See, that's yeah, but they're all like 30 to 45 seconds long.
Yeah, some of them are definitely very short, and especially in that era, like Game Boy Advance era, they would be looped a lot, wouldn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, that answers that question. But in terms of Sacred Stones, you may not have had a chance to play it this week on Nintendo Switch Online, but you have experience with the original game?
Yes, I have the Game Boy Advance game, um, pristinely displayed and in wonderful condition for those old Game Boy cardboard boxes.
Mm.
Yeah, so this is a good one. This is a really good game. The interesting thing about it is, I think it was the first that splits in two different directions.
Ah,
As you're playing, you could choose a chapter. There may be 15, around 15 chapters total, and after about the fifth or sixth chapter, you can go a different direction. So then you play like
cool.
6 or 7 unique chapters, and then you come back towards the end and play the final three. But then if you
Wow.
play it again, you can either go back to the beginning, or yeah, I can't recall, probably save your game right before you make that choice, and then go
Mhm.
play the different path with different characters, and then come together at the end for the final battles with kind of a different team that you've amassed by playing through a different section. So uh, very cool in that regard because it lets the story be tight. You're not spreading it out amongst 25, 40 chapters. It's, 15
Mm.
tight chapters. It's just you're getting two different angles for a section of it.
Yeah, that is really cool, especially for the Game Boy Advance, that was it 2004 this game was released? Over 20 years ago. And, that little cartridge holding all that information. I think that's really neat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I also would like a lot of the Fire Emblem fans who didn't play any of these old games,
Mm.
maybe started with Awakening or whatever, where they sort of eased the permadeath.
Mm.
Because this does, as far as I know, I haven't played the online version. I can't imagine they added it. But these are the games where if you get 3/4 of the way through a level and you lose somebody, you either start again from scratch or you let that character die,
Wow.
and then go forward, which was one of the great things I liked about this game was how you had to be so careful
Yeah.
or reach a point where you're like, you know what, this guy's not worth it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry it came to this,
Yeah.
but I've got to keep going. And I also don't recall if it was this game or some of the, or even an earlier one, but because they wanted to make sure you had enough characters, there were some people you could only unlock if you had lost certain other people or a certain number of people.
Mm.
So you had to let people die if you wanted to unlock other people.
Yeah. That's
So I
interesting.
mean, it was all factored into it. It was very well done. It sounds like it's really hard, but that's the way the game was meant to be played. It's a great way to play the game.
Yeah. That is really cool. That's interesting. Mm. You never want to lose someone, of course, but I guess if it keeps the story going in a way and
Yeah,
almost not rewards you exactly, but opens up new pathways or possibilities in terms of characters. Yeah,
yeah. I
that's
think I
interesting.
think I may have mentioned before. There are always some that I refuse to lose. The moment they die, I'm like, I don't care what's going on. I'm stopping and starting this over.
Yeah.
And then there are some I have occasionally sacrificed characters
Mhm.
because I didn't like them.
Yeah. And that's your right in this
Yeah.
game. You're the one running the show, so yeah, that's really cool. It is a great series. I would like to play this one. I meant to get into it before, we recorded. I didn't get, time, unfortunately, but I would love to give it a go, so I'll try to do so during the week because I have not played this one. I got yeah. No, this was before I got into Fire Emblem, so yeah. Looking forward to it. It looks great, honestly. I love that style because it's kind of that 16-bit style, isn't it, with
Yeah.
GBA? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got the wonderful chip tune music. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Excellent. Cool. Thank you,
Now,
Kirk. And
I'll
guess
warn you now
yeah,
before we go any further
yeah.
that a thunderstorm has descended upon me here.
Okay. So
So if we get cut off,
that's why.
don't think someone has sacrificed me to the Fire Emblem world.
Yeah.
We just the internet shut down.
Okay, cool. Well, thankfully, we haven't got too much time left, but we do, for the first time in quite a few weeks, have time to talk about some games that we're playing, which is exciting. So would you like to kick things off with what you're playing at the moment?
I will because it kind of ties in, not directly, but thematically with Fire Emblem.
Mhm.
I'm playing a game called The 100 Line Last Defense Academy. I shouldn't say I'm playing it, I'm done. The review is up.
Mhm.
It just came out, and it's a really cool game that's kind of, I want to compare it to, and I did in the review a bit, to 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim,
Oh, yeah.
in that
Mhm.
it's a game that has a very distinct style of gameplay, but it's also very much a visual novel at the same time. It
Mhm.
tells a story where you're making decisions that can impact things, and the gameplay doesn't. I don't want to say it doesn't fit into it. It's just so split apart by the story that it's a little bit disjointed in that regard, but on purpose and in a good way. So I'm not describing that well, but there's a demo, so if
Yeah.
you could go, play it and figure things out that I'm not conveying clearly. Um, but one of the cool things about this is you meet characters, you unlock them. The story, for the most part, dictates who you're playing with on certain levels. Um, During the levels, it's turn-based battles. You're on a grid. Each character has his or her own weapons, abilities. Some characters have like really good defense. In fact, there's this one character who has his defense gets better as he moves further in the field. So it's actually beneficial to push him deep into the enemy because he's going to be able to protect himself and he could take people out on one side while everyone is kind of focusing on the other side, for
Mm.
example. There's a character who does really good damage but only gets one person. So, and then she doesn't have good defense. It's good for taking someone out, but you got to be careful you don't leave her stranded since she can only take out one person.
Mm.
But as you go along, some levels or some of these battles just have one level, some have three waves, they call them. But one of the things you can do is build up your voltage points. Once that hits 100 or 200 or 300, you can unlock really powerful attacks. But a really good way to level that up is to sacrifice one of your characters, because
Again.
within the story there's a system where the moment a character dies, these drones come out, pick up the body, take it back, rebuild it with full memories and everything, and put that person back on the battlefield at the beginning of the next wave or the next level.
Huh.
So you want to kill off people because it's like sometimes you absolutely have to in order to be powerful enough to do damage. Which sounds like you're kind of cheating in a way, but you got to make sure you don't kill off the wrong character. You may need one person's ability against the remaining enemies, and that person's now off the battlefield because of that.
Mm.
So it's just got a lot of unique things that way. The other thing I love about the game is the story is so absolutely bonkers almost immediately, and it keeps you guessing. Like they hint towards things. Like it was almost a running joke with me because they kept like almost revealing one certain aspect and then would stop for some reason and not get it out there. So there's a lot that you're guessing at. And so many times my guesses were wrong, which usually isn't the case in video games. It goes in so many unique directions, constantly changing things up with the story. And it's very much an anime style game. In fact, Aniplex, the production company, helped develop it. Um, I saw something where someone was complaining about the anime tropes for the characters, and I think that person was completely missing the point because these are like broad caricatures of
Mm.
anime tropes. They're so ridiculous and so over the top and funny. I mean, really funny this game is when it wants to be for such dark material. It didn't even talk about the story, which is all about this underground Tokyo world. It's kind of like in a dome, and there are these enemies that are attacking, and the people don't fight against it. They kind of have to just go down into shelters when these alarms go off. They don't even really know what's going on, and you have to stab yourself in the chest with a certain dagger to be able to join this group that's going to fight them, but they don't explain why you're fighting them. So most of the people that are on your team don't even want to be there. You just complain the whole time. I tell you, it's crazy. Um, Absolutely love this game, and it's my favorite game of 2025 so far.
Wow. That's very impressive. That's really cool. Yeah, I'm getting the vibe that you enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely get the demo because I didn't do a great job of explaining it. There's so many layers that I don't even have time to get into.
Mm.
And it's just so entertaining if you're into that whole kind of anime vibe, if you're into turn-based gameplay, if you like a good story where your decisions are impacting things. Just a lot of fun and very unique.
Yeah, it certainly looks cool. I mean,
Yeah.
graphically, yeah, looks really cool. And that one only came out just last week, the 23rd, I think, was it? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So very new, very cool. Check out Kirk's review on our website for the full details. But yeah, thank you, Kirk. It does sound fun. Even though I just even like the name of it, the 100 line. I think it's, I don't know,
Yeah.
intriguing. Mm.
Yeah, and there's that's all explained in the game. I'm careful not to give away too much of the story
Mhm.
because, and I mentioned this in the review, we had 5 pages of PowerPoint slides on things that we were not allowed to
Oh,
reveal
wow. Yeah,
in
okay.
the review.
Yeah.
So yeah, just an awful lot comes at you and changes up throughout. So get in and
Mm.
discover it.
Is it a long game in terms of
Uh,
gameplay?
not as long as some others. I mean, it sounds like it because you're defending the school for 100 days. That's the thing you have,
Mhm.
but whereas you're going through 100 days, you're not fighting all 100 days. In fact, some days you're not even awake for the entire day. It
Right.
goes by at a decent clip.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
And one more thing, well, you just brought that up to me. When you play the game the first time, it's very linear. But
Mhm.
after that, you can play it again and you're able to make decisions that help you branch off further. So there's a lot to discover after you do it the first time. If you really want to get the whole experience of the full story, you're going to have to play through it more than once.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah, that is a bit you can see the, it's not Fire Emblem, but you can see how it ties in a little bit to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good story, turn based combat on a grid.
Mhm.
Um, and using death in strategic ways.
Mm. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Well, I'll quickly run through some games that I'm playing, and these are already finished as well. So, Beyond the Ice Palace 2 is the first one, and that is very much a Castlevania like game that I had a lot of fun with in the last 2 weeks. And it's actually a sequel to a 35-year-old game called Beyond the Ice Palace. And actually, Kirk, since I have you, did you know? Have you ever heard of the original at all?
I have not.
Hmm.
I'm
No.
not. I read the review and the way you described it, it sounds like something that I would have enjoyed. But yeah, I've never heard of that at all.
No, neither had I, because it was an Atari game, and I think it was on a few other consoles, not Nintendo-related consoles back in the day. Yes, but this is a sequel of sorts. It's a different style, I think, to the original, which was more of a ghouls and goblins style gameplay. And this is
Mhm.
very much a Castlevania style because you have essentially a weapon that is like a whip. It's your chains. You break out of, you're trapped at the very beginning. You break out, and your chains become your weapon of choice and a tool as well. So you can whip onto or latch onto certain areas of the game, and it lets you navigate and climb higher and do different things. Of course, it's also a weapon, so you can defeat enemies. It's got that retro 16-bit-ish style that looks really cool. It's kind of dark, and it's about the underworld, and there's lots of creepy skeletal kind of. You like skeletal enemies, don't you?
I
Actually,
live for them, enemies or
yeah.
friends,
I didn't
skeletons in general.
I didn't mention this in the review actually, but when you dispose of or just, when you whip a skeleton enemy, they don't actually die. They sort of crumble down onto the ground, and you have to go up to them and press the R shoulder button to like dig into them to really send them to hell kind of thing. It's really cool. It's
Or
kind of
they
they
regenerate if you
do.
don't do it
If you
quickly
don't do
enough, and
that,
they kind of
they'll
like
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
they come back to life.
excellent.
It's really neat. It's a really neat little touch. I do like that. It's quite hard, the game. It's quite difficult. There's no difficulty settings, but it's fun and rewarding, and there are save points. There's a pretty decent leveling up system. There's some gigantic boss fights that are pretty intense and quite enjoyable and satisfying when you do beat them. So yeah, overall, nice little Castlevania-like game. If you're into Castlevania, I do think you would like this one, especially if you do like tricky platforming, 2D style platforming games with whips. So check out my review on the website. And the other one that I reviewed recently, I haven't published this yet, but I will publish before this episode airs. I've written it, and I think you proved it for me. Thank you, Kirk. Is Star Overdrive, which is a more recent title. Beyond the Ice Palace 2 came out in March. This one came out in April, so Overdrive. We saw a glimpse of it during a Nintendo Direct from last year, one of those
Hmm.
partner showcases. It looked really cool. It's like looks like June, kind of, I think, because of the sand dunes. It's on a foreign planet, very much sandy with some sort of bodies of water as well. But essentially, you crash land on a planet to rescue someone. But the main mechanic is this protagonist has a hoverboard. And so you're surfing these sand dunes, and it's really cool, really fast, quite slick. Especially for the Switch, I was really impressed by the way it handles this quick movement. I didn't really notice any stuttering or frame rate drops. So yeah, they did a really good job with that. So it's a bit of an exploration game. There's a good narrative behind it. There's a lot of Zelda kind of influences that you can see in there. Some of the powers that you unlock over time. Like there's one that's very much an ultra hand. You pick up objects and move them around with a green magical line between you and the object. I'm like, that's ultra hand, but it's cool. It's fine. It's not a complete clone of The Legend of Zelda, but there are shrine-like areas with puzzles, you could say. So there's that. But yeah, the hoverboard style is quite unique, and that's quite fun. And you can do little tricks over. You do jumps, you can do boosts, and you do tricks while you're surfing to keep yourself going, keep the momentum going. You can also upgrade your board, which is really neat. You collect lots of things along the way, which is again a bit like Zelda. Like how you're walking through the I don't know, the grassy plains or the forest in Zelda, and you pick up anything you find, like flowers and fruit and whatnot.
Yep.
Same with this one. Pick up everything you find, and then when you get to your workbench, you can use those items to upgrade your hoverboard, and that gives it more, power. There's 5 kind of elements you can upgrade, like speed and all that sort of thing. You can also decorate it differently, which is nice. A little nice little touch that's added on there. But yeah, it's a fun time. Again, my review will be online, so check that one out. Star Overdrive. I love that it's a little indie team as well. They've done a really good job with this one. I think they're from Italy from memory. This group. Sorry, I don't have the name on the tip of my tongue right now, but yeah, definitely check it out. It's worth looking at, and there is a free demo for this one as well. So if you were thinking it sounded interesting but you weren't quite sure, get onto the demo and have a look. Yes,
When you're taking the items that you collect, two questions on that because there are
sure.
things that always bug me about that. Is there a cap on how many you can carry? Where after a while you're like you got too much stuff, then you have to throw out something you don't want in order to get something you want,
I didn't
or is
have
that
that problem.
didn't factor in?
No, I had, 50 of something and it was fine. So, and then I just used a bunch of them. I'm the sort of person I don't want to use all of my supplies. So like, and some of them are very simple, like salt, right? Is something you can collect. And so I was like, well, I think I just want to have one salt just in case I need it. So
Oh, yeah. Does it have quests where you might have to have take an item to somebody like that?
not really, no.
Okay.
It's more just trading it in and for your hoverboard. But I just don't like to be empty, so I don't know why. But no,
Well,
I
I
didn't come
get it.
across any caps, and there were quite a few there's a wide variety of things to collect, so yeah, it's pretty cool,
Okay.
pretty neat.
And when you're crafting, do you have to like mix things together and do it a certain way before you're able to use it? Or is it just, if you want this for your hoverboard, you're going to need 5 of these, 4 of these, and 3 of these?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. You can definitely experiment, and so I would just, add this and that, and if I found something new, I'd throw it in, and different elements would help power different parts of your board, I guess, but you're not restricted to a recipe. And the more you put in, the more power you get, essentially. So
Okay.
it just means if you run out of that element, you just collect more and do it again later. But you kind of remember the recipe, if you want to call it that, so that you can create more of that upgrade if you like at a later point. So yeah, you can experiment, and it all seems to work really well. And it all goes to and you can allocate different upgrades to your board. So if you happen upon a better one, like if you create a better upgrade, you can kind of switch it out if you like. So there's that customization as well, which is pretty neat. Hmm. Yeah, it's a nice one because it did catch my eye in the partner showcase last year. I wasn't sure what to make of it just because of the surfing element. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really a surfer.
I had the same thought. Like, how
Yeah.
much of it is me having to? I don't know any surfing terms,
Hang 10?
but yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, or if we're whatever, like grinding or
Mm.
ollieing, I don't know, but
Yeah, it's more fun than I expected because I wasn't
okay.
sure either. And it isn't the whole game. Like, there's a lot like, within these little shrine-like puzzle well, they're mines actually, but I call them shrines because they remind me of shrines from the Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
There's no surfing in that section, so that's all just jumping and running and, solving puzzles. So there's a kind of, a break from that. And really the hoverboarding is to get from one place to another quickly. There's little portals you drive through that give you a boost as well to keep your momentum going as well. Yeah, it's a quicker way to travel, I suppose. But it is way more fun than I thought. Just jumping off those dunes and doing the tricks. It's really easy as well, which helps. Like, it's easy to pull off those moves, because like I said, I'm not really into that style. Like, I'm not into Tony Hawk kind of games or anything like that, like skateboarding or surfing. Um,
Hmm.
but this does it well. It's not like the whole game is that. It's just part of it, and it's a good part of it. So yeah. Yeah, recommended. Anything else do you have to add before we close things off for the week? We're at a nice time this week. We've run over a lot. We've had a lot to talk about the last few weeks. So
Yes, boy, we have.
yeah. Yeah, it's been a very busy time. We'd love to hear listeners' thoughts on anything we've talked about today or anything Nintendo related at all. Or even, sometimes we talk about Godzilla and Star Wars. So if you have something to say about those things too, please just mention it.
Or both at the same time. Why not
Yeah.
make a Godzilla Star Wars movie we can talk about?
Yes. Now that would be neat. That would be neat. Anything to add before we close off, Kirk?
Nah, I think I'm good.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me this week. Thank you, listeners. If you would like to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/pure Nintendo to get yourself a copy of our next physical magazine, which we will send to your door, um, and in a timely manner, unlike Switch 2 deliveries, I guess. We're also on social media, so check us out over on Blue Sky. That's our social media of choice. And of course, our website, purenintendo.com, for all our news and reviews. But until next week, thank you and game on, everybody. Bye.